Wendy, do you have time tonight?
Huh? Oh, yes, I'm free tonight, as long as it's not too late. I don't have any other plans or commitments, so I should be able to meet up with you. Though I do need to make sure it won't interfere with any other appointments I might have later.
Oh, perfect then. That works out just right. You see, I attended your cooking class for the first time today. It was an interesting experience, and I wanted to talk to you about it.
Oh, thank you so much for attending. I really appreciate it. I know that I'm still just starting out with teaching, so there might have been some moments where I wasn't as polished as I'd like to be, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. How did you feel about the class? Was there anything you enjoyed, or perhaps anything I can improve on?
Well, actually, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. I wanted to let you know that I felt you should really experience what truly exceptional cooking is like. You might not have been exposed to this type of cuisine yet, and I thought it was important for you to broaden your horizons.
Oh, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Could you explain a little further?
Let me get straight to the point. From what I saw in your cooking class today, I have to be honest with you. I think it's quite presumptuous of you to be running a class with cooking skills at that level. I'm not trying to be rude, but the dishes you prepared didn't seem to reflect the level of mastery I think you're aiming for.
Wait, what?
I understand this might sound harsh, but please understand, this is just my personal opinion. I don't think you're a bad cook or anything like that. I just believe that for someone to be teaching others, they need to have reached a level of expertise that's undeniable. And to be honest, I don't think you're there yet. But I also know you might not be willing to accept that, so I thought it might be better if you come to this realization on your own. Sometimes the best way to learn is through experience rather than words.
Are we going to a restaurant, or is there another place you have in mind for tonight?
Well, not exactly a traditional restaurant. What I want is for you to experience true high-level cuisine. And I've already chosen the place where we'll go. It's a bar located in a quieter area of the downtown district.
A bar? Is that really the kind of place that serves exceptional food?
Oh, I see what you're thinking. Just because it's a bar, you might be dismissing it right away. But let me tell you, this place is not just any bar. It's a hidden gem. It's a place known only to those with a refined taste, and you won't find any information about it online. It's not the type of place that relies on word of mouth or social media to attract attention. It's for people who truly appreciate good food.
Wait, is it really okay for me to go there? It sounds a bit mysterious, doesn't it?
Of course, it's perfectly fine. I think it will be really beneficial for you. Growing up in a certain environment can shape your palate and cooking skills, which is why I think it's important for you to experience what true cooking can be. Rather than just telling you what I think, I want you to experience it yourself. That's the only way you'll truly understand the difference. I'll wait for you outside, so once you're finished with your class, we can meet up and head there together.
Okay, understood. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Are we really going to go to that place?
Knowing her, I'm almost certain she has some hidden agenda, and I'm not sure we should trust her intentions.
Well, she's a paying customer after all. As long as we keep her happy, she might continue to come back, and that's good for business.
You've grown up so much. You've always been like this, haven't you? With your charm and ability to captivate people, especially men. It's no wonder you've always had attention.
Let's not get into the past. It's irrelevant now. Because of my experiences, I've learned to deal with people who look down on me. It's nothing new.
Still, be cautious. What's this about a hidden bar with exceptional food? I've never heard of anything like it before.
I haven't heard of it either, but I have a few ideas about where it might be.
I also have some guesses, but honestly, are there really any places nowadays that don't have an online presence?
That's exactly what's bothering me too, but I'm going to check it out anyway.
And by the way, are you sure you want to go back to that part of town? I thought you had decided to cut ties with the nightlife scene.
Well, I don't mind strolling around the area. If I run into old acquaintances, it might be awkward, but I'll handle it, don't worry.
I see. All right, just be careful. If anything goes wrong, don't hesitate to contact me. I'll be there to help.
I won't need to call you for help, but thanks. It's comforting to know you've got my back.
Of course, we've known each other for a long time. You can always rely on me.
Excuse me, Tammy, are you okay? It's been quite a while since you mentioned you were going to the bathroom. I was starting to wonder if something had happened to you.
Oh, I see. You were concerned, weren't you? I actually left a little earlier than expected. I didn't want to waste any more of my time there. I had to get going for other things.
Wait, what? You left? Why would you just leave like that?
Well, I didn't feel like studying anymore. I didn't think it was necessary, and I had other things I needed to take care of. So I left before anything else happened.
I see. That's a bit unexpected.
But more importantly, how was the food? You mentioned before that you were confident in your cooking skills, and I wanted to know what you thought about the food here.
Yes, it was quite good. The food was well prepared, and I really appreciated the recommendation for this place. The restaurant itself was very nice.
Oh, really? It was good, huh? Well, it seems like your taste in food is, let's just say, not exactly refined.
Excuse me? What do you mean by that? You told me that this was a place serving exceptional dishes. Are you trying to say something about my taste?
No, I'm just testing your taste. And let's be honest, you failed. I can't believe someone who runs a cooking school would praise frozen food like that. It's honestly laughable. I think it's time to let the other students in your class know what kind of low-level instructor they're dealing with.
Frozen food? Wait a minute, what exactly are you trying to say here?
Yes, everything you ate tonight was frozen. And not just any frozen food, it was the cheapest kind you could find at the supermarket. It's practically laughable.
I don't understand. Why would you do this?
I joined your cooking class today, and honestly, I was shocked. The level of your cooking was so low, it was unbelievable. I thought to myself, how could anyone learn from someone like this? So I decided to prove just how low your standards really are. And I did that by serving you frozen food disguised as gourmet dishes.
This is ridiculous. I never said I'm perfect, but I also never claimed frozen food was the best. It can be good if prepared properly. You don't have to mock it.
Oh, I get it. You're making excuses now. It's cute, but let's move on to the next topic. How about the bill? It's time for you to pay, don't you think?
What? Why should I be the one to pay?
Why? Because I gave you a valuable experience today. That's why. Don't tell me you expected me to treat you. How typical. You come from such a poor mindset. It's honestly kind of pathetic.
No, that's not what I was expecting. Okay, fine, I'll pay. But you're sure this is it, right? This is the end?
Yes, exactly. Now let's settle up. The total is $30,000.
Wait, what? $30,000? Are you serious?
Yes, I'm serious. $30,000. What, are you not familiar with the cost of something like this? I guess you've never been to a place like this before, huh?
This doesn't make any sense. I thought you said that this was a reasonable place. Now you're telling me it's $30,000? Is this some kind of scam?
Even if it were a scam, you're still responsible for paying. You were the one who followed me here after all. And now you've got to pay up, or else I'll have to get the people in the back to deal with you.
The people in the back? What kind of people are we talking about here?
Oh, I have plenty of connections, you know. My family is one of the richest in this town, so I know all sorts of people in various circles. People who can make sure you pay what you owe.
This is extortion. You're basically admitting to running a scam, and that's fraud. You are breaking the law.
I'm not doing anything illegal. If anything, it's your fault for getting caught up in this situation. You should have known better than to follow someone like me. I'm not going to apologize for anything.
This is insane. Why are you doing this? Why would you go to such lengths just to get back at me for something?
Oh, I'm not doing this for any personal reason. I just wanted to show the other people in your cooking class what kind of instructor you are. You don't deserve to be teaching anyone anything about cooking.
I can understand you disagree with me, but that doesn't give you the right to do this. There were better ways to handle this.
Better ways? I'm doing you a favor by showing you the truth. You're too deluded to see it, but at least now you know what kind of cooking you're offering. Maybe next time you'll think twice before teaching people such low-level skills.
This is unbelievable. I can't believe you're going this far just to prove a point. I'm just trying to help others and share what I know. This is not the way to handle things.
Well, if you're done complaining, how about you pay up? $30,000 isn't going to just disappear.
$30,000? What is this? Is this a joke?
No, it's not a joke. $30,000. You really have no idea what you're dealing with, do you?
This is extortion. I am not paying this.
Oh, you're not? Well, you might want to reconsider. You see, I know some people who can make sure you pay one way or another. You don't want to find out what happens if you don't.
You're really going to threaten me like this?
It's not a threat, it's reality. You see that bartender over there? He's part of a gang, and if you try to run, things are going to get very ugly for you.
You really think I'm going to be intimidated by you?
I'm not trying to intimidate you. I'm just telling you what's going to happen if you don't pay. It's your choice.
Okay, fine. What do you want me to do?
Just give me the $30,000. I don't want to waste any more time here. I have other things to do.
I can't believe this is happening.
Believe it. Now hurry up and pay. Remember, this could have been avoided if you had just known your place.
You are truly heartless, aren't you?
Oh, I'm just being realistic. You should have learned to be more careful.
I can't believe this. I don't even know what to say anymore.
That's the point. Now hand over the money.
I still can't believe this.
Well, you better get used to it, because this is the reality you're facing now.
Angie, I am really sorry to cause you trouble. The situation is exactly as I told you over the phone earlier. I managed to talk to the bartender, and I found out that the person running this bar is actually a local thug.
I see. And what can you tell me about this thug?
You're not going to believe this, but it's Bruce.
Bruce? That guy's back here? Seriously, does he have any sense of courage, or is he just plain stupid?
Well, if the mastermind behind this bar is really him, then this should be an easy job.
Right, so can you get Bruce here? Honestly, I was thinking of bringing a few people along for backup, but if it's Bruce, I can handle him by myself. It should be enough.
Got it. I'll find a way to drag Bruce out here. Angie, what's the situation on your end? How's it going?
I've got Bruce. He's locked in the trunk of the car right now. When he saw my face, his face went pale. He looked completely terrified. As soon as he saw me, he tried to run away. But if he really wanted to escape, he shouldn't have come back in the first place. Well, it's not like he's the kind of person who could survive out there on his own. Honestly, if he was going to come back, he should have at least done something worthwhile with his life. Instead, he's running a scam bar like this. It's such a cheap and petty operation.
This is the same guy who borrowed money from people to open a club, only for him to shut it down in a month and run away, right? He's always been this small-time, cheap kind of guy. People like that don't change easily.
Honestly, if he had just started paying back the money bit by bit, we would have never had to get involved in this mess. But because he ran away, it just complicated everything.
It's actually a bit surprising that after 5 years he managed to return to town.
Well, I heard it straight from him. He said he came back to pay the money he owed, but in reality, I think he just thought he could grab a chunk of cash from this scam bar. And if he got caught, he would have said he was just coming back to repay his debt. If no one found out, he would have just pocketed the money.
I see. Well, that makes sense. So what's the plan now?
Well, for now, we're going to leave the bar alone. I had Bruce tell the bartender to make sure that Tammy gets a proper send-off. I made sure of it.
Thank you so much. I really owe you one. I said I wouldn't need help, but I guess I was wrong.
It's no trouble at all. For me, it's kind of like cleaning up the trash in this town. Now, go take care of things with Tammy. You've got everything under control now, so you don't need to worry.
Understood. I'm on my way. Thanks again.
Well, I wonder if the bill has been settled yet. The fact that they haven't contacted you means you're probably still throwing a tantrum, huh?
Oh, I've already left the restaurant. The waiter told me it was fine and I didn't need to pay.
Huh? What do you mean, what happened?
Exactly what I said. I'm relieved, actually, because I can't afford to pay $30,000.
Is this another one of your usual lies? There's no way they'd let someone like you slip through their fingers. You're probably shaking like a little puppy, aren't you?
No, actually, I'm already on the train heading home. If you want, why don't you give the waiter a call?
Huh? What's going on here?
Or perhaps you could try calling Bruce.
Eh?
Oh, right. Bruce can't take any calls at the moment, can he?
Wait a minute. How do you know about him? Did he visit from time to time?
Well, I've had some dealings with him in the past. He left town 5 years ago, but I was shocked to see him back.
What are you saying? He's been in this town?
He's not just here, he's from this town. But more importantly, how do you know him?
Know him? He's just an acquaintance.
An acquaintance, you say? I've heard he's been bringing victims to his scam bar. Do you really think someone would assist in criminal activities just because they're an acquaintance?
So, what's Bruce doing now? I've been calling him, but he won't pick up. What does it mean that he can't take a call right now?
Instead, why don't you tell me about your relationship with him? Though it seems like the answer's already been spilled by someone else.
Huh? What do you mean by that?
Right now, Angie is with him. Apparently they're reminiscing, and Bruce has been quite talkative about the current situation. For example, he mentioned having an affair with a woman.
Who? What?
I don't care if he's having an affair, but to choose Bruce, it shows you have poor judgment. He's a worthless man who can't even pay back his debts.
Explain yourself properly. What's going on?
Bruce borrowed money from a certain gang in this town. With that money, he started a club, but he went bankrupt in just a month due to his incompetence. He ran away with a huge debt.
So, he stole from the gang? Yes, exactly.
5 years later, he came back to town thinking this time he could succeed with his scam bar business. He thought he could pay back the gang if they found him.
He used to run a securities company in London, right? And now he's come back to run a gang?
Typical of Bruce to lie like that. London, a securities company, he probably picked it up from a movie. And no, he's not a gang member, he's just a small-time thug.
You said Angie is with him. What's her role in all of this?
Bruce owes money to the gang Angie was once part of.
Eh?
That's why, when Bruce saw Angie's face at the bar earlier, he ran away without a second thought. He came back to town, but is still such a coward.
Wait, Angie's gang? What do you mean?
Angie retired a while ago, but she was an executive in one of the local gangs.
An executive? But she's a woman.
Angie was a legend in this town. She's a woman who beat down anyone who underestimated her.
Is that so? Then what about you? What's your connection to him?
I used to be a hostess in this town. Bruce was one of my regular customers back then. He was a troublesome man who would always run away without paying. He once invited me to join him when he started his club, but I didn't trust him, so I turned him down politely.
Wait, so what's happening now?
Angie's already secured Bruce. He's going to face some serious consequences.
Serious consequences? Then what about me?
First, you need to settle your affair with Bruce. It's best to be honest with your husband.
What?
Then you'll need to clear up your involvement in the fraudulent activities. You were involved in a business run by an antisocial group, so your excuses won't stand.
No, that's not it. I didn't think it was a scam. Yes, he said he was part of a gang, but that doesn't mean a gang is problematic if they're not involved in crime.
I see. So you think $30,000 was the correct price for the service?
Yes, that's right. I don't think it was a scam.
That's strange. You said it was the cheapest frozen food from the supermarket. So are you claiming that $30,000 was the appropriate price for that service?
No, that's...
You were testing me, weren't you? You pretended it was high-end cuisine, but it was just cheap food. You knew that it wasn't high-end. If that's the case, your argument doesn't make sense. Also, you've got quite a reputation in this town. I've heard you racked up quite a bill at the host clubs.
How do you know that?
If you live here, you'll hear things. You may think you're rich, but you're probably struggling to pay your own bills. That's why you got involved with someone like Bruce. He pretends to be something big, but he's just a small-time scam artist.
What? You're no better. You're running a crappy cooking class while hanging around with gangsters.
Feel free to say what you like, but Angie is my close friend. I won't let anyone talk badly about her. I'll tell your husband about your affair with Bruce.
Wait, why would you do that?
Because you're the one who started this fight. You tried to charge me $30,000. This isn't some little argument, is it? Your parents have already cut ties with you, so I don't need to contact them. Now, all that's left is to gather evidence of your involvement in fraud and take it to the police.
Wait! I get it now. I was wrong. I was so frustrated. I used to run a cooking class too.
I know, but it went under, didn't it? That's why you were frustrated, so you tried sabotaging me. How pathetic.
I'm sorry. I really am. Please forgive me. At least don't tell my husband.
Sorry doesn't cut it.
What is this? I'm the victim here too. If I'd known what kind of person Bruce was, I would have never gotten involved.
Even if that's true, you're still at fault. After all, you followed him like a fool when you knew it was wrong.
Fine, I'll admit it. I've been living in denial for far too long. But what do you expect me to do now? You've already dragged me through the mud, exposed all my secrets. What am I supposed to do with myself now?
That's the thing, isn't it? You didn't want to face the truth until it was shoved in your face. Your life, your decisions, it's all been one big act of pretending things were fine when they clearly weren't. And now you have to deal with the consequences of that.
What do you know about my life? You don't know anything. You think you can just show up and pass judgment? Just like that, you are the one with the moral high ground?
No, I don't have the high ground, but at least I have the integrity to admit when I'm wrong. Unlike you, who keeps lying to herself and everyone around her. I'm not perfect, but at least I don't pretend to be. You've been lying to your husband, living a double life, running with people like Bruce, pretending you're too innocent to understand what's happening.
You think you're any better? You've done things too, haven't you? You've been involved in more shady dealings than I care to admit. And now you stand there lecturing me?
You're right, I'm not perfect. I've made my share of mistakes, but I've always owned up to them, and that's what makes the difference. It's never too late to change, but you have to face reality first. You've been living a lie, and I am just showing you the mirror so you can see the truth.
I didn't want it to end up like this. I thought Bruce would be different. He told me so many lies, but I believed him. I trusted him, and now I have nothing to show for it. Nothing except for the wreckage I've caused.
Well, you're not the only one who's been lied to. Bruce has been lying to everyone, and the only reason he's been able to keep his head above water is because people like you let him. But now it's your turn to stop enabling him. You need to make things right, starting with your husband.
I can't tell him everything. Not everything. He'll never forgive me.
Well, don't worry about that, because like I said, your husband already knows about everything. I reported the incident to the police. It didn't take long for the authorities to get involved. Both Bruce and Tammy were arrested, and they were immediately held accountable for their actions. The court decided that they were responsible for the damages caused to the victims, and as a result, they were ordered to pay hefty compensation fees. It was a decision that would haunt them for a long time, and as expected, the financial burden was overwhelming. It was hard to believe how things escalated so quickly. Bruce, once a man of confidence, now found himself in a position where he had to pay back a massive debt. Tammy, the woman who had always prided herself on being able to manipulate others to get her way, now had to face the reality of the situation. Both of them were thrust into a world they had never imagined, a world where their actions had serious consequences. The debts they now carried weighed heavily on their shoulders. Bruce, unable to pay off the damages through traditional means, was forced to take on grueling physical labor. He had been introduced to this type of work by Angie, a close friend of mine, and it was a job that demanded not only his time and energy, but also his dignity. The work was relentless and the conditions were harsh. He had to endure long hours, often in excruciating physical pain, just to make a dent in his enormous financial responsibilities. As if that weren't enough, Tammy's situation was no better. In addition to the debts she'd accumulated, she was also required to make payments to the local businesses, and most notably to her husband. The divorce had been ugly, and the court had ordered her to pay alimony. It wasn't easy for her to come to terms with the fact that she now had to pay for her mistakes, both in terms of money and her personal relationships. The alimony payments were a constant reminder of the damage she had caused, and Tammy found herself struggling to keep up with the demands of her financial obligations. It was ironic, really. Bruce and Tammy, who had once been so certain that they were invincible, were now in the same boat. They were both working under harsh conditions, trying to pay off their debts, and it was clear that they weren't happy about it. The strange thing was that despite their dire circumstances, they were still together, working side by side at the same physical labor site. They had been forced into this situation, and there was no way out. Initially, I thought that maybe, just maybe, there was a silver lining to their predicament. I thought that being together might bring them some comfort, that the shared experience of hardship might allow them to reconnect and find a sense of solidarity in their suffering. After all, they had once been a couple, and in times of hardship, people often turned to those closest to them for support. However, as time went on, it became clear that my hopes were misplaced. Bruce and Tammy were blaming each other for everything that had happened. They were no longer the loving couple they once were, but rather bitter individuals who resented each other for the situation they found themselves in. Their relationship had deteriorated beyond repair. They were now locked in a cycle of mutual disdain, and I could see that they were no longer able to tolerate each other's presence. It was as if they had become strangers, each one blaming the other for their downfall. I couldn't help but feel a sense of sadness for them. It was painful to watch. I had once hoped that they would learn from their mistakes and that they would grow stronger and become better people because of the hardships they had faced. But it seemed that instead of finding redemption, they had become even more embittered, more bitter toward each other and the world. Their relationship was now in tatters, and it seemed that they had no intention of trying to fix it. I had hoped that they would eventually reconcile, that they would find a way to move forward and rebuild what they had lost. But it was clear that they were trapped in their own bitterness, and I began to wonder if they would ever be able to escape it. In the meantime, I had moved on with my life. I was still attending cooking classes, and I found that they brought me a sense of fulfillment and joy that I hadn't experienced in a long time. The atmosphere in the town had become much calmer after Tammy's disappearance, and the peace that had settled over the area gave me a sense of relief. I could now go about my day-to-day life without the constant fear of running into trouble or dealing with the chaos that Tammy had caused. I had also managed to maintain my friendships with Angie. Despite everything that had happened, our bond remained strong. Angie was someone I could always count on, someone who had been there for me during some of the most difficult moments of my life. She was the type of friend who would drop everything to help you, and I truly appreciated her loyalty and kindness. However, I also noticed that Angie had developed a certain level of concern about me. She had always been a pragmatic person, someone who lived a relatively quiet life, free from the drama and chaos that seemed to follow me around. Because of this, I could sense that she was always a little worried when things went wrong. Whenever something out of the ordinary happened, she would ask me if I had gotten into any trouble. It was almost like she couldn't believe that I had been able to avoid trouble for so long. At first, I didn't think much of it, but over time I began to realize that Angie was genuinely concerned about me. She was protective in a way that I hadn't fully understood before. I think part of it came from the fact that her life had been so stable and uneventful. She had never been in a situation like mine, and I think that made her worry even more. In a way, it was a bit amusing. Here I was, someone who had been through all sorts of challenges and difficulties, and yet Angie seemed to worry more about me than I did about myself. I would often laugh and assure her that everything was fine, but deep down, I knew that she was only asking because she cared. I sometimes wondered if Angie wished she could experience some of the excitement I had gone through. Not that she would ever admit it, of course. She was far too sensible to admit she was curious about my past, but I could see it in her eyes. That flicker of curiosity when we talked about my experiences. She might have been too proud to admit it, but I knew that part of her longed for the kind of life I had lived. Still, despite her occasional concern, I could tell that Angie truly valued our friendship. She would do anything for me, and I knew that I would do the same for her. Our bond was strong, and it was something I could always count on, no matter what. Looking back on everything that had happened with Bruce and Tammy, I realized that life often doesn't go the way we expect. We make decisions, and sometimes those decisions lead to unexpected consequences. Bruce and Tammy had made their choices, and now they were paying the price for it. But even though I felt pity for them, I couldn't ignore the fact that they were responsible for their actions. No one forced them to make the choices they did. As for me, I had learned from my own mistakes. I had faced the consequences of my actions, and I had grown because of it. Life had given me some tough lessons. But I had come out the other side stronger and wiser, and while things weren't perfect, I had learned to accept the flaws and imperfections of life. Now, as I continued to enjoy my cooking classes and the peace of the town, I couldn't help but feel grateful for the people in my life, for Angie, for the lessons I had learned, and for the chance to move forward. No matter what the future held, I knew I was ready to face it. Looking at the situation from a more reflective standpoint, I can't help but wonder if things could have turned out differently for Bruce and Tammy. In a way, they had both been trapped by their own choices. It was clear to me now that neither of them had understood the weight of their actions until it was too late. They had allowed themselves to be swept up in the moment, driven by desires that blinded them to the long-term consequences. In a world where impulsive decisions often lead to irreversible outcomes, they were now facing the full force of their mistakes. As much as I might sympathize with their plight, there was a part of me that couldn't quite excuse them. I had made my own mistakes in the past, but I had learned from them, even if it had taken time. The road to redemption wasn't easy, but it was always there, waiting for those willing to take responsibility for their actions. Bruce and Tammy, it seemed, had been too stubborn to admit their faults, and instead they clung to the idea that they were the victims of circumstances, when in reality they were the victims of their own decisions. It was frustrating to watch. I had seen people in my life go through similar struggles, but they had managed to rise above them, learning and growing in the process. It was hard not to feel disappointed when I saw how Bruce and Tammy handled their situation. They had been given the opportunity to change, to make amends for their wrongdoings, but instead they had only allowed their bitterness and resentment to fester. Their inability to take responsibility for their actions and own up to their mistakes seemed to be what was holding them back to move forward. On the other hand, my life had become more peaceful, albeit not without its own set of challenges. Despite the quiet of the town and the relatively calm pace of my daily life, I still had moments of doubt. I wondered whether I was truly on the right path or whether I was simply hiding from the bigger issues in life. It wasn't that I regretted my choices, but rather that I sometimes felt as though there was more for me to experience. I wasn't content to just go through the motions of life, attending cooking classes and spending time with friends. I had always been someone who craved meaning, and there were still days when I felt like I hadn't really found it. That being said, I couldn't deny the importance of what I had achieved in the past year. There had been a sense of healing in my life since I had distanced myself from the chaos that Tammy had brought into the town. It wasn't as though I was completely free of worries, but the absence of the constant tension that had once loomed over me was undeniably a relief. I found myself waking up each day with a sense of clarity that I hadn't experienced in a long time.
I just purchased a $200,000 diamond ring using my son's credit card. Are there any complaints from the simple wife? I am so happy to have a doctor as a son. What? A diamond ring? For $200,000? Are you sure you don't mean a $2 toy ring? My, you and your jealousy really has gotten to your head now. Cooper went ahead and gifted me this $200,000 handmade diamond ring. I just went and signed for it, and later on, I'll send you the pictures. So Cooper went and bought that ring for you? That's what I've been saying. All right, let me go take a picture of it right now and send it your way. It's true. That is definitely a luxury handmade ring. But I can't imagine Cooper being able to afford something like this. Cooper is a doctor, you know. Of course he can easily afford this. Or could it be that he doesn't buy you anything? What do you mean by that? Oh, it's simple. Since Cooper doesn't love you, he doesn't buy you anything, not even a ring. I mean, come on, it makes sense, right? Someone like you, such a low-class, stupid woman, is just on a completely different level from Cooper. And, of course, from me as well. Cooper doesn't love me? Well, that may be true. But calling me a low-class, stupid woman, huh? Exactly. You're a low-class, low-income, and uneducated woman. Am I wrong? You and I are fundamentally different kinds of people. It's almost generous of us to have let a woman like you into this family. Look, I get it. You're really proud of the ring, but can we stop this already? No, we can't stop. You see, you're seriously lacking in gratitude towards us. Your family is poor, right? You should be thankful you can even live this life thanks to us. Thanks to you? But Cooper only makes $300 a month. Liar, you ugly woman. You've really lost your mind, haven't you? Not just your appearance, but now your head, too. I guess that's what happens when you're poor. Everyone becomes a liar. I'm telling the truth. I've kept quiet about it until now, but I've been barely supporting him this whole time. However, I'm done with that kind of life, so we'll be getting a divorce soon. After we divorce, you'll have to take care of him, so good luck with that. Oh my goodness, you're scared. I've never seen someone so delusional. Do you need me to take you to the hospital or something? Or, better yet, why not have your dear Dr. Cooper take a look at you? Hey, what on earth is this all about?
Huh? No, wait, you've got it wrong. It's not what you think.
Wrong about what? What are you even talking about?
Isn't this about the engagement ring?
What? Are you saying you sold the engagement ring?
Well, yeah, there's this guy I know who's really knowledgeable about these things. He said if I was going to sell it, now's the best time. He mentioned that prices for jewelry like that are really high right now, and there's a chance I could get more than what I originally paid for it. So I figured, why not? I thought I could get a good price for it.
Wait a second, you sold the ring? And not just any ring, my engagement ring?
Yeah, I sold yours too, but listen, I bought that ring for you, so technically it's mine. Besides, you haven't been wearing it for a while now, so I figured you didn't need it anymore. You know, since we're getting divorced and all, I thought of it as part of the separation process, like a symbolic thing.
You've got to be kidding me. This isn't about whether I'm wearing it or not. Selling the engagement ring behind my back? That's beyond messed up.
I didn't have much of a choice, okay? I was broke. You, as my wife, should just stay quiet and understand my situation.
What the hell did you just say?
Dave came by again, pressuring me to pay up. He even said that if I don't settle things soon, you might end up getting hurt too. He was desperate. I was just trying to protect you, that's all.
Wow, aren't you clever with your words? So, let me get this straight. You sold the engagement rings to protect me?
Exactly! You know how dangerous Dave can be. I was just looking out for you.
Right, but who's the one who borrowed money from someone like Dave in the first place?
Well, I didn't really have a choice. No other lenders would give me a loan. Dave, on the other hand, doesn't care about credit scores or background checks. Sure, the interest rates are high, but at least he'll lend to anyone.
Ah, I see. So you took out a high-interest loan from a dangerous guy just to blow it all on gambling. How admirable. And yet, for some reason, your mother seems to dote on you endlessly despite this kind of behavior.
No, it's not like that. My mom doesn't dote on me exactly. She just sees me as a status symbol. To her, I'm just the son of a doctor. That's all I am to her, a way for her to show off. She doesn't really care about me as a person.
That's funny, coming from the guy who bought his mom a $200,000 luxury diamond ring.
What did you just say?
You heard me. A $200,000 luxury ring. Don't play dumb. You bought that car for her, didn't you? With your credit card. I saw how thrilled your mom was about it, and she even showed me pictures of the ring. Today was the delivery day, wasn't it?
Is this some kind of prank? Think about it for a second. How would I have $200,000 to spend on a diamond ring right now? I'm drowning in debt as it is, and I can barely keep my head above water.
Then explain to me why your mother has that ring. She doesn't work, so there's no way she could afford something like that on her own. Your father's inheritance is long gone, too. So where did she get the money for that car?
What the hell is going on here? Hey, Mom, I heard you bought a handmade diamond ring and that I bought it for you?
Oh, that's right. I forgot to mention it to you. You left your credit card at my place, so I went ahead and used it.
What?
That diamond ring, I've always wanted it. I'm so happy I finally got my hands on it.
Wait a minute, isn't that the $200,000 ring?
Of course. I thought I could just tell you later, so I didn't think it was a big deal. But it's no big deal, right? I mean, $200,000 isn't that much, is it? After all, you're a doctor.
Well, it's just that...
If I had asked you to buy it before, you would have said yes anyway, right? I know I didn't tell you beforehand, and for that I'm sorry, but it's fine, isn't it?
$200,000 is a bit much, even for me.
What do you mean? Sam, you're a doctor. You can make $200,000 in just 3 months, can't you?
3 months? I mean, yeah, I'm a doctor, but I'm still pretty new to the field. I haven't even started my own practice yet, and it's not like I'm rolling in money.
Huh? What are you even talking about? You're a doctor. Act like one. You should be proud and confident. You're my pride and joy, my brilliant son. Don't get all gloomy over a mere $200,000.
Mere $200,000? You're lucky I'm only a little gloomy about it.
I don't want my proud son texting me to complain about something as trivial as this. Just let it go, okay?
Mom.
Hey, Hannah, excuse me for a moment.
What is it?
There are some strange people hanging around outside my house. They're demanding to see Cooper.
What? And why exactly aren't you telling me this?
Because they can't get in touch with Cooper. What's going on with him these days? Where is he?
Who knows? Cooper disappeared in the middle of the night, you know? He packed up and fled.
What did you say?
He most likely ran away to escape from his creditors. Considering the massive debt he's accumulated, especially after that additional $200,000, he looked completely desperate. There was no way out for him.
Massive debt? What are you even talking about? Don't tell me. Did he take on someone else's debt? Did he take over your debt by any chance?
This is such a pain to explain. I've already told you before, he's practically unemployed. I've been the one earning the money and covering our living expenses.
That's ridiculous. There's no way that's true. Cooper is my son. The idea that he's buried in debt and unemployed is simply impossible. Besides, Cooper graduated from a prestigious medical school and became a doctor. How can you even suggest that he's living such a miserable life?
He quit being a doctor a long time ago. Since then, he's just been hopping between part-time jobs. He kept up the appearance of being a doctor only in front of you, his dear mother. He did indeed graduate from medical school. That part's true, but pretending to still be a doctor? Well, that's not as hard as it seems, especially when it comes to keeping up appearances.
No, this can't be true. There's no way my son, my Cooper, would do something like that.
And what makes you so certain about that? Forgive me for saying this, but you've never really had any social or career accomplishments of your own, right?
How dare you say something like that? That's beyond rude. I'll have you know, my parents were highly successful and influential, and my late husband was the CEO of a company. And my son Cooper is a doctor. He worked hard and became a respected doctor.
Sure, your parents were great, and your husband may have been a successful CEO, but what about you? What have you accomplished?
What?
I'm not talking about your family or their achievements. I'm asking about you. What have you personally done? Bragging about your family doesn't do anything to change the reality of your own life, does it?
Well,
See? You can't think of anything, can you? That's exactly why you've pinned all your hopes and dreams on Cooper. You project all your ideals onto him because you don't have anything of your own.
Shut up! You don't know me or my life, so stop acting like you do.
I don't need to know much to see the obvious. It's written all over you. But the reality is, Cooper quit being a doctor, threw himself into gambling, and became a full-blown failure. It's time for you to accept that.
I refuse to believe that. My Cooper is smart, talented, and a good man. He's an honest, upstanding person, and his patients all admire and respect him. He's a doctor.
Then why isn't he answering your calls? Why is he avoiding contact with his own mother?
How would I know? He's probably just sleeping, that's all.
Sleeping in the middle of the day? It's a weekday after all. Shouldn't a doctor be working?
He's probably at the hospital, obviously. Maybe he's in the middle of performing surgery or something. Surgeries can take hours, you know. That's probably why he's not picking up the phone. He's probably doing one of those complex procedures, like heart surgery, maybe one of those bypass operations or something like that. Yes, that's it. He must be in surgery right now, saving someone's life.
Is that so? Well, let's hope that's the case. Though, for the record, Cooper isn't a surgeon.
Whatever. The point is, there's absolutely no truth to your absurd claims about Cooper being buried in debt. You're just jealous because you're poor. You really need to stop being so envious of us and our success.
If you say so, but I think it's time I show you some proof. How about I send you the messages I exchanged with Cooper? You'll see for yourself what's really going on.
No way. This is fake. It can't be real. That's not Cooper.
I'm afraid you're mistaken. It is definitely Cooper. This was just a few days before he ran off in the middle of the night. By that point, he was so desperate that he had even pawned the engagement ring. Can you imagine? Things were that bad. And in the midst of all that, you went and bought a $200,000 luxury car with his credit card. I'm not surprised he felt like running away after that.
No way. Cooper doing something like this? I can't believe it. My son, of all people, could never be that kind of person. No.
Oh, what's the matter?
The debt collectors, they're pounding on the door, demanding we bring Cooper out. But he's not here. They won't stop banging. Hannah, where is Cooper right now?
Who knows? I certainly don't.
Enough of this. You need to bring Cooper back here now. He has to take responsibility for his actions. How could he do this, dragging me into this mess like this? He's an absolute disgrace of a son.
You're really quick to abandon him, aren't you? It seems like Cooper was right all along. He told me, you know. He said that you only saw him as a status symbol. I guess he was telling the truth.
What? How dare you? Or maybe you should take responsibility. After all, you're the one who let him fall so low. It's partly your fault too, isn't it?
Well, you can say whatever you want, but if you're going to start talking about responsibility, then you should acknowledge that you have some responsibility in this too.
What? Me? I've done nothing but raise him the best way I could. If he decided to go down this wrong path, that's his fault, not mine. I bear no responsibility.
The fact that you can say that so calmly just proves how much you failed as a parent. But hey, why don't you hear it directly from him? I'll have him get in touch with you.
Wait, from him? You mean Cooper? Yes! Contact him immediately. Why didn't you just do that from the start?
All right. Please hold on for a moment.
Mom, it's me, Cooper.
Cooper, what on earth is going on? Why are those people outside? Are they trying to collect something from us?
Yeah, I know they're out there. Just be careful. They can get really aggressive.
Cooper, why are you talking like this is some sort of outside problem? This is your debt we're dealing with. You're the one who needs to pay it back. You can't just act like it's not your responsibility.
No, it's not just my debt. It's also your debt, Mom.
What do you mean by that?
Remember when you bought that $200,000 handmade diamond ring using my credit card? It was just a few days later that all this trouble started. You even signed the ownership documents for the ring. I remember that clearly.
Yeah, I did sign it, but...
Did you actually read those documents?
I mean, I glanced at them, but...
I told you to read them carefully. I made that very clear.
Okay, but what does that matter? Why are you bringing up those documents now?
Mom, you are a co-signer on my debt. This means that if I fail to pay it back, you are also responsible for the payments.
Wait, what?
Since you went ahead and bought that $200,000 car without thinking twice, I figured you'd be okay with the idea of sharing the burden of the debt. After all, you were the one who made that purchase.
Hold on. Are you saying that you tricked me into this? You deceived me!
I didn't trick you. I told you to read the document, so it's not my fault if you chose to ignore that advice. Why didn't you read them?
Why would I read a document like that? It's ridiculous. No one reads those things. And the idea of being a co-signer? That's just absurd. I will absolutely not pay any of this debt.
Listen, I'm taking responsibility for my share of the debt, so you need to pay back the $200,000 yourself. That seems fair to me, don't you think?
No way! Why should I have to pay for your mistakes? This has nothing to do with me. I refuse to pay.
If you don't agree to this, then I will have no choice but to sue you.
Sue me? Are you serious right now?
Absolutely, I will sue you for credit card fraud. You used my card without my knowledge or consent, and that puts you in a very serious situation.
Oh my God! This can't be happening! My son, of all people, is resorting to such desperate measures?
Yes, this is your son doing what he has to do. You treated me like an accessory, like a trophy to show off. You wanted to brag about having a doctor for a son, but what's it worth if I'm just a failure now? This attitude, Mom, it reflects on both of us. We're definitely related.
Don't you dare compare me to you. I'm from an elite family. I'm wealthy and successful.
Mom, that's really pathetic. You need to stop bragging about your relatives and start focusing on your own achievements instead.
Shut up! How dare you speak to me that way?
Let's face the facts together. You need to pay back the $200,000, and I'll take care of my own debts. I'll communicate that clearly to the debt collectors, too.
$200,000? There's no way I can afford that. Please, just find some way out of this mess.
You've already exhausted Dad's inheritance. You should have thought ahead. And if you don't, this is the consequence you face. Honestly, it's not my place to say it, but someone had to tell you.
No, I can't handle $200,000 in debt. It's far too much to deal with.
Then I guess it's time to cut off contact. We'll both be better off separated.
Wait, you can't just leave me like this.
I see. So you hurried to return the ring and ended up getting into a serious accident, breaking your arms in the process. Now you're looking at a month of recovery, and your car was completely totaled, and the ring was rendered a total loss in the fire.
Please help me.
Well, that's really the only way to put it, isn't it? But let's be clear. This situation is the result of your own actions. You'll have to figure out how to deal with this yourself.
Don't say something so cold. You must have enough income to support Cooper, right?
I'm barely getting by. He managed to earn a measly $300 a month from his reselling side hustle, which was helpful. But my income is below average, so I can't provide you with any financial assistance.
But paying back $200,000 in debt in this state is absolutely impossible. The car is destroyed, and my assets are gone. I can't live like this. Every day, the debt collectors come knocking, and my only son has vanished. How am I supposed to keep going?
It's all right. Cooper will come back here soon enough.
What do you mean by that?
I contacted Cooper and introduced him to Dave, the debt collector. I decided that Cooper couldn't get away without facing this, and they both might get some legitimate job opportunities. So let's work together to pay off this debt, all right?
Wait, are you saying you sold us out to the debt collector?
Well, it's a reasonable demand to ask for the money that was lent. You both signed those documents, so it's all in writing.
And jobs, they're probably some shady work, right? I don't want anything to do with that. I don't want to work.
You're not a child anymore. Haven't you enjoyed living off other people's money for long enough? Maybe it's time you learned what it's like to earn your own.
How irresponsible of you!
I hear the work can be quite physically demanding, so I hope you give it your all.
You traitor! Supporting the debt collector like this?
Traitor? That's quite an accusation coming from someone like you. I don't want to hear that from a thief.
How can you call me a thief? You know that I've always provided for my family. I didn't choose this situation. It just happened. And now you turn your back on me?
Providing for your family? Is that how you see it? By buying a diamond ring worth $200,000 on someone else's credit card? You've been living in denial. How long did you think you could keep this up?
You don't understand. I had to show off. I had to maintain appearances. It's what everyone expects of me.
And look where that has landed you, on the brink of bankruptcy and facing daily harassment from debt collectors. Is it worth it? Was the status worth ruining your life over?
Maybe you don't realize this, but the pressure I faced was immense. I had to keep up the facade, and now it's all come crashing down. Do you have any idea what that's like?
I do understand. You put yourself in this position. You're the one who prioritized appearance over reality, and now the consequences are here to stay.
Then what am I supposed to do? I can't just roll over and accept this fate. I refuse to let it end like this.
You have no choice. Accept your reality and start taking responsibility. It's time to grow up and face the music. You can't keep running away from the truth.
Grow up? Easy for you to say. You're not the one who's going to be dealing with this. You're not the one facing the debt collectors every day.
No, I'm not. But I'm here to help you face it. I may not be able to fix everything, but you'll have to take some steps yourself. Start by accepting the reality of the situation.
Accept it? How can I accept that I'm drowning in debt with no way out? That my own son has abandoned me?
Cooper has not abandoned you. He's trying to navigate this mess just like you. He might need some time to figure things out, but he'll be back. In the meantime, you need to make changes.
I don't know how. What can I possibly do to make things right? It feels hopeless.
You can start by taking that job. It might not be ideal, but it's a step towards regaining control over your life. You have to fight back, or you'll lose everything.
How can you be so sure that this will work? What if it all goes wrong?
Nothing in life is certain, but you have to try. You can't just sit here wallowing in self-pity while your situation worsens. It's time to act.
Fine, I'll consider it, but I'm not promising anything. I can't just throw myself into something without knowing what it entails.
That's fair. Just remember, if you don't take any action, you'll end up with nothing left. No son, no money, no dignity. Think about it. Jen found herself trapped in a grim situation, burdened by an overwhelming debt of $200,000. It was a weight so immense that it consumed her every thought, draining the very essence of her being. The burden was like a thick, suffocating fog that clouded her mind, leaving little room for hope or optimism. After her discharge from the hospital, Jen, along with her son Cooper, was sent to a workplace that had been arranged by a loan shark. This wasn't just any job. It was a cruel lifeline, a reminder that their lives were no longer their own, but pawns in someone else's game. The factory they were sent to was the embodiment of misery, a place where each day felt like an eternity. The factory was a place of relentless noise, the air thick with the sounds of machinery, the clanging of metal, and the hum of workers who shared in their suffering. It wasn't just the physical labor that drained them. It was the overwhelming sense of hopelessness that seemed to hang in the air. The workers moved like zombies, faces etched with exhaustion, their bodies broken by the monotonous demands of their tasks. Jen and Cooper trudged through each day, their faces drawn, their movements stiff and robotic. They were not working in a place of industry. They were trapped in a place of despair, where every minute felt like a lifetime. The work itself was grueling, each task designed to push their bodies to the limit. There was no mercy from their overseers. The factory was a place where there was no room for mistakes, where the smallest error was met with a harsh reprimand, or even a harsher punishment. Workers were berated, humiliated, and worked to the bone with little regard for their well-being. Every mistake was met with the shrill voice of a supervisor who seemed to take pleasure in reminding them of their place in the system. The factory felt like a prison, and Jen could see no way out. She and Cooper were stuck in this cycle, grinding away for a debt that seemed impossible to ever pay off. No matter how much they worked, the looming figure of the loan shark haunted their every waking moment. Each day felt like a repeat to the last. The sounds of the machines, the hum of the assembly lines, and the heavy footfalls of the workers became the soundtrack to their existence. Jen and Cooper worked under the oppressive gaze of their supervisors, their every move scrutinized, their efforts rarely acknowledged. The hours dragged on endlessly, each one longer than the last, and every moment seemed to stretch out indefinitely. The clock on the wall seemed to move in slow motion, as though time itself was mocking them. It wasn't just the grueling work that wore them down. It was the realization that they were stuck in a seemingly endless loop. The weight of the debt, the constant pressure to meet quotas, and the lack of any hope for escape all combined to create a suffocating sense of despair. Jen began to wonder if they would ever be able to repay such an insurmountable debt. The thought of it was overwhelming, and every day seemed to bring them further away from the possibility of ever seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. No matter how many hours they worked, no matter how much they sacrificed, it felt like the mountain of debt was insurmountable. The money they earned barely made a dent in what they owed, and the loan shark's demands grew more and more pressing. Each time they thought they were close to repaying the debt, another setback would occur, setting them back even further. The sense of hopelessness was all-consuming, and Jen began to fear that they would never escape. The factory was a place where time moved slowly, but the days seemed to blur together, indistinguishable from one another. It was a place where there was no respite, no relief, no hope. The workers were treated like machines, their bodies pushed beyond their limits, their spirits crushed under the weight of their circumstances. Jen and Cooper felt like they were losing themselves in the monotony, their identities swallowed by the relentless demands of the factory. They were no longer individuals, no longer people with dreams and hopes. They were nothing more than cogs in the machine, their lives dictated by the whims of the loan shark and their employers. It was in the midst of this crushing despair that something unexpected happened. A glimmer of fortune appeared, like a distant star in the night sky, offering a sliver of hope. Cooper, after years of struggle and hardship, found himself on the winning side of life. It started with a stroke of luck, a fluke that seemed almost too good to be true. Cooper had hit the jackpot with horse racing, a stroke of fortune that allowed him to pay off his $200,000 debt in full. It was as though the universe had finally smiled upon him after all the hardship he had endured. The crushing weight of the debt was lifted from his shoulders, and for the first time in years, Cooper felt a sense of freedom. The victory in the race was more than just money. It was the chance to break free from the shackles of their miserable existence. For the first time in a long time, he had a chance to live a life that wasn't dictated by fear and debt. Cooper's newfound financial freedom was like a breath of fresh air, a stark contrast to the suffocating existence Jen and he had been living. With the money he won, Cooper was able to pay off the debt that had haunted them for so long. It must have been an incredible feeling to finally break free from the factory, to walk away from the grueling work in the oppressive environment. The factory had become a symbol of their suffering, a place that had stripped them of their dignity. And now, for Cooper at least, it was a distant memory. He was free, liberated from the very thing that had held them both captive for so long. But while Cooper's fortunes had changed, Jen was left behind, still trapped in the same grim reality. It was almost cruel how quickly fortunes could change. As Cooper celebrated his newfound freedom, Jen remained stuck in the factory, still working day after day to pay off a debt that seemed impossible to overcome. The disparity between their situations was striking. While Cooper was now free, Jen was still shackled by the weight of her past mistakes. It was as if fate had chosen to reward one person while punishing the other. The contrast between their lives must have been painfully obvious to Jen, and she must have struggled to come to terms with it. It was during this difficult time that Jen reached out for help. She was desperate, overwhelmed, and scared. She had always believed that Cooper would be there for her, that they would face their struggles together, as they always had. But when Jen called out for help, Cooper made the heartbreaking decision to sever ties with her. He felt that it was necessary to cut the connection, especially since he believed that Jen had only seen him as a status symbol rather than a true friend. His decision must have been agonizing. He had finally found freedom, but at the cost of abandoning the person who had once shared in his struggles. Jen must have been devastated when she realized that Cooper, the person she had relied on for so long, had chosen to abandon her. The feelings of betrayal must have been overwhelming. She had always believed that their bond was unbreakable, that no matter how tough things got, they would always be there for each other. But now, Cooper had made his choice, and Jen was left to pick up the pieces of her shattered world. The loneliness must have been suffocating. Jen had lost the one person who had truly understood her pain, and now she was left to navigate a world that felt empty and cold. As Jen sat alone in her thoughts, she must have been consumed by a whirlwind of emotions. Anger, sadness, and betrayal must have collided within her. How could Cooper, the one person who had shared in her suffering, turn his back on her now? Was she angry at him for abandoning her? Or was she heartbroken? The loneliness she felt must have been unbearable. And the realization that she was now completely alone must have been more crushing than any of the physical burdens she had faced. The emotional toll of the betrayal was immense, and Jen must have wondered how she would ever find the strength to move on. The feelings of betrayal were profound. Jen had always believed that her bond with Cooper was unbreakable, that it could withstand any storm. But in the end, it had shattered under the weight of life's cruel realities. The emotional scars from this betrayal would likely stay with Jen for a long time. As Cooper moved on to a better life, Jen was left to pick up the pieces of her shattered existence. She had lost more than just her financial security. She had lost the person who had been her closest companion, the one person who had truly understood the depths of her struggles. Jen's journey was far from over, but whether it would lead to redemption or further despair was uncertain. The path ahead was unclear, but one thing was certain. Jen's story would be shaped by the scars of betrayal, loneliness, and the unrelenting weight of the debt that had once threatened to destroy her. Whether she would rise from the ashes of her shattered life or sink deeper into despair remained to be seen. But in that moment, Jen knew one thing for sure. She was no longer the person she once was, and the woman who had survived the hardships of the past would have to find a way to navigate the future. Meanwhile, my own life couldn't be more different. I am currently relishing the joys of living alone, a stark contrast to Jen's plight. The tranquility of solitude allows me to savor the freedom that comes with it. Every day, I experience the happiness of spending my hard-earned money solely for my own enjoyment and comfort. I have the privilege of being able to make choices without having to consider anyone else's needs or desires. I can decide how to decorate my space, what to eat, and how to spend my time, all without anyone else's input. This autonomy brings me immense satisfaction and a sense of pride. Living alone, I've been able to create a space that is entirely my own, a reflection of who I am and what I enjoy. I can choose the colors for my walls, the artwork for my shelves, and the style of furniture that best suits my personality. I can surround myself with the things that bring me joy and comfort, whether it's a cozy reading nook in the corner, a kitchen stocked with my favorite snacks, or a living room that feels like an extension of myself. The independence I enjoy is liberating. It allows me to shape my home to fit my desires and to make each moment of my life feel like an opportunity for self-expression. There is a profound joy in knowing that I am responsible for my own happiness. I get to make the decisions that define my life, and I don't have to answer to anyone else. Every day, I curate my own experiences, choosing the activities and moments that bring me peace and fulfillment. Whether it's indulging in a hobby, treating myself to a nice meal, or simply enjoying the peace and quiet of my home, every moment feels like a personal triumph. I can spend my evenings curled up with a good book, binge watching a favorite show, or pursuing creative projects without any interruptions or demands from others. There's no one to tell me what I should do or how I should feel. Each day feels like a blank canvas, ready for me to fill with whatever I choose. In contrast, Jen's life is entirely different. She is trapped in a situation where her every move is dictated by forces beyond her control. The weight of her responsibilities and the crushing burden of her financial debt have taken away her ability to enjoy even the smallest moments of freedom. Jen's days are consumed by the oppressive reality of living under someone else's thumb, and the choices she once had are now a distant memory. Instead of choosing how to spend her time, she is forced into a grueling routine dictated by the need to survive. She no longer has the luxury of personal space or time, and the joy of living is no longer hers to enjoy. Living alone has its challenges, of course. There are moments of loneliness, times when I wish I had someone to share experiences with. There are times when I yearn for the company of a close friend or a loved one to share a conversation or enjoy an evening out. But these feelings are fleeting. They come and go like waves, and they never overpower the overwhelming sense of freedom I have. The moments of solitude allow me to truly appreciate the peace that comes with being by myself. I am able to focus on my own needs and growth without the distractions or responsibilities that come with living with others. I am free to make decisions that are solely based on what I want, not what someone else needs or desires. This is a rare and precious gift, one that I value more and more each day. I know that not everyone enjoys living alone. Some people crave the company of others, seeking out social connections and finding comfort in shared spaces. But for me, the joy of solitude is unmatched. There's a peace that comes from not having to accommodate anyone else's schedule or preferences. It's not that I don't value relationships or human connection. On the contrary, I deeply appreciate the people in my life. But the beauty of living alone is that I can choose when and how I interact with others. I am in control of my own time and energy, and I don't have to compromise on my own needs to accommodate someone else's. The contrast between Jen's situation and mine could not be starker. Jen's life is defined by the weight of financial struggles, and her every action is a response to the demands placed upon her, whether it's the relentless pressure of repaying a crushing debt or the emotional toll of betrayal. Her existence is shaped by forces that are outside of her control. In contrast, my life is characterized by a sense of fulfillment and contentment. I am able to take pleasure in the small things, the warmth of a cup of coffee in the morning, the satisfaction of completing a project, or the quiet enjoyment of an evening spent reading or watching my favorite shows. There's no looming burden of debt or disappointment hanging over me. Each day feels like a new opportunity to embrace life's simple pleasures and find joy in the small moments. Jen, on the other hand, seems caught in a perpetual struggle. Every day, she faces the harsh reality of her debt and the emotional scars left by those who have betrayed her. She's been left to navigate a world that feels cold and unforgiving, where even the most basic needs seem out of reach. While I get to enjoy the luxury of making choices that reflect my desires, Jen is forced to live within the constraints of a life that has been dictated by her past decisions and the decisions of those around her. The emotional toll of Jen's situation is far beyond what I can fully understand, though I can try to imagine it. The betrayal she feels from Cooper, the person she once thought she could rely on, must be suffocating. To have someone you love and trust walk away when you need them most is a pain that I can only hope to never experience. It's a betrayal that cuts deep, leaving scars that might never fully heal. And while I do experience moments of loneliness, the reality of being abandoned in the midst of such hardship must feel like an insurmountable mountain. Jen's emotional state is shaped by a combination of grief, disappointment, and betrayal, and there's no clear path out of that emotional maze. Every day, she must confront the pain of her circumstances with no real sense of escape or relief. For me, my life feels like a gentle current, moving forward at my own pace. I am in control of my own direction, and I can chart my own course through the world. While there are challenges to face, they are far less intense and less overwhelming than what Jen faces on a daily basis. The challenges I face are of my own making, whether it's deciding how to manage my time, maintaining relationships, or navigating the ups and downs of work and personal goals. They are challenges I feel prepared to tackle, with a sense of agency and control over my decisions. But even as I enjoy the tranquility of my life, I cannot help but think about Jen and the immense burden she carries. I wonder if she will ever find a way out of the darkness that has consumed her, or if she will be trapped in her current circumstances forever. It's hard to imagine what it must be like to feel so powerless, to be so weighed down by circumstances that you can't control. Jen's life serves as a stark reminder of how quickly things can spiral out of control and how unpredictable life can be. The choices we make and the paths we walk can lead us down vastly different roads. For Jen, it seems as though the road ahead is filled with obstacles that seem insurmountable. While for me, the road feels wide open, filled with possibilities. In reflecting on both Jen's plight and my own, it becomes clear that life can take many different paths. While Jen is ensnared in a web of debt and betrayal, I am reveling in the freedom of solitude. The contrast between our experiences highlights the unpredictable nature of life and the different outcomes that can result from the choices we make and the circumstances we find ourselves in. It's a reminder that life's journey is rarely straightforward, and the paths we choose can lead us to vastly different destinations. It's also a reminder of the power of choice. While Jen's life is defined by circumstances she couldn't control, I have been fortunate enough to carve out a life that reflects my values and desires. The freedom to choose is a privilege, one that I don't take lightly. I recognize that my independence and the life I lead are not guaranteed for everyone, and that many people, like Jen, find themselves trapped by circumstances that feel beyond their control. Ultimately, the journey through life is shaped by the choices we make, the paths we choose, and the people we surround ourselves with. Jen's story serves as a cautionary tale, a reminder of the fragility of life and how quickly things can change. For me, it's a reminder to appreciate the freedom I have and to not take it for granted. Life can be unpredictable, and the experiences we go through are often shaped by forces outside our control. But in the end, it's how we respond to those challenges and how we navigate the twists and turns of life that defines us. As I reflect on the contrast between my life and Jen's, I am filled with a sense of gratitude for the autonomy I have and the opportunities that lie ahead. But I also carry with me a sense of empathy for Jen, knowing that life is not always fair, and that we are all at the mercy of circumstances that we cannot always control. The paths we walk may diverge, but the experiences we share as human beings can help us connect and understand one another in ways that transcend the boundaries of our individual lives.